everyone's been saying breathtaking what they did in the third 500 metres, like sort of 750 metres to go, and we've seen them paddling. They got that kind of little sit back at the finish and then that smooth move out, you know, a bit like Drew Ginn sort of talks about the way to Skull, and I think John Dreesen's done a fantastic job with them. But it's close, isn't it?
I think it's going to be close, and here we go, lined up, and it looks like a very smooth start for everyone. No one really showing ahead at the moment as we see these big men moving so well, moving so efficiently together. So we take a look here, as we'd expect with the Swiss crew.
Roman Riesli in the stroke seat, just taking the boat off there. And, well, he's been one of the guys with Nico Stalberg, the man behind him, in a double at World Cup 1 and the European Championships. I bet he's relieved to be back in the quad. And... well, that's an unexpected occurrence. The Brits, so I thought, lacklustre in the final of the European Championships. Jack Beaumont there, the lad in the bow seat, had that terrible collision last year, expected to race today in a double scull, and he's now having the ride of his life out in front.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the British crew who've made a great start. I think the crew from Germany are right up there as well. But you don't see big margins getting taken in the quad scull, but the British look like they've got half a length on the whole field here.
The stats say, Greg, that the quad that leads at 500 is going to win. You know, it's like the men's 8, and that is a really handy race lead to have at this point. They've switched their strokes. You can see Graham Thomas, the man from H-Cross Rowing Club, in the stroke seat. The Newland Angus groom behind him. Sam Townsend, the big powerhouse, in the 2. Jack Beaumont, he's on the right of your picture, the sub in the bow seat.
Well, it looks like a fantastic start from Great Britain, and really it's lying across everyone else in a straight line.
So I didn't expect that. I remember we were having a chat on Twitter with Daniel Spring, goes by the handle of @FatSculler, and he thought the British quad would win. I thought he was being ridiculously over-optimistic, even more so with a sub on board. But I mean, you know, it does show you what a special year this is with the Olympics. I think these 4 men, coached by Paul Thanet, have got a real point to prove, Greg. They were very, very ordinary at the European Championships, where they would have expected to perform. And, well, I think that's a fantastic start.
See Angus Groom there in the picture. He's the new man in this boat. Charles Cousins has rowed in the British quad for many years. He's had to drop out with a back injury. And let's see what difference it makes as we have a look now with the Swiss crew. We've been seeing this crew on all the posters all around Lucerne. They're obviously the pin-up boys of the Swiss rowing team. But they've got the pressure on them.
Yeah, I mean, how much do you think it takes out having a sub in the boat? I mean, they've got a sub. The young lad in the bow seat, Marcus Kessler, who was in the single last year. The British have got a sub, but, you know, the British have got almost clear water on the Swiss. The Aussies are tracking, you know, it's interesting looking at that Aussie coach quad, and there we see the stroke man, James McRae, of course. He took a bronze medal in the London Olympics with his crewmate Carsten Fosling in the bow seat, and they're so experienced. Lawrence Schoof there, the man with the beard, we just had a little shot of going through the K. I think Aussies to win this, Greg.
Yeah, I'm still with you. I think the British crew have gone out very hard. You have to wonder if they're going to pay for that later. Look like they're still moving pretty well as those blades come through, disappearing pretty quickly, although there's perhaps just a little flash too long in the air before they disappear into the water.
Big Sam who's really putting it down, isn't he? But, you know, they've kept the move. Aussie had that fantastic push in their back pocket at 750 metres, just as they went past the athlete area. The word was the Aussies just said, right, we're off, and they just put bosh clear water on the field. If they do that in this final, they will just side through the British, and they may hit the front by 500. Alexander Belenogov on the left of your picture in the double last year, the man from Sydney.
Well, they look very smooth, don't they? The way they release the boat at the finish there just looks really relaxed, and the boat's carrying on. I feel bad that I've challenged the technique of the British quad, but I'm just wondering whether it's going to be good enough. Is it going to hold up with the sub in the boat as the Australians now put pressure on them in this third quarter?
Whatever the result, it's a sensational row by the British. And there's the Swiss, well, looking across the 2 men that have been in the double scull because of the injuries. Augustin Myloff in the 2 seats, come back in the boat finally. Marcus Kessler, the bowman, the substitute for Barnaby Deliers. And, well, behind us, the Polish quad, out of shot. But these men here, what experience. James McRae, you'd want him in the stroke seat, wouldn't you? Olympic bronze medalist. on a race like this. But the British, I didn't expect them to hold off this long, Greg.
Well, the British are doing so well that they put it down early. You can see they're hurting now and looking to try and hold on. They're going to have a lot of races in their legs that they've already done over the course of the week. These two both qualified directly, but I was just looking there at Jack Beaumont in the Bow Seat, who's also racing a double, and the Australians have gone through now as we're in this last quarter.
It's effortless off the finish, isn't it? Look at the flow of the Aussies off the finish. They just quick their hands a little bit.
The Aussies are so strong in their bodies, I think, aren't they? The bodies look strong and upright, and then they just let them flow off the back there.
Yeah, brilliant coaching by John Driessen. I mean, there's so many experienced quad coaches here. The Polish coach, Alexander Wojciechowski, coached that fantastic Polish quad that won in Beijing 2008. Such experience in the race, and look at the Aussies go.
The Aussies are really moving out now. They look like they're taking distance with every stroke, as we have a look here at the Swiss crew in the race for their bronze medal. But look how the Australians have been able to power it on now, looking to try and get out to clear water. The British quad looking dangerously close to the boys here on their left hand. I hope they can stay away from those. Hang on to their silver medal, because that'll be a fantastic result with the rest of the field coming up to them. But we now come into the last few strokes.
Yeah, it's hard to see. I think the Swiss are going to get that bronze medal, Greg.
We've got the German crew we haven't seen at all on the near side, but it is going to be Australia for the gold. It's going to be Great Britain who are going to hang on for that silver bravely, and then it is that Swiss crew that gets the bronze. And then nothing to call between Poland and Germany, and then Lithuania at the top of the picture coming in sixth.
Oddly enough, Greg, I think that's a great result for the gold, silver and bronze medalists. I mean, the Australians, sensational. I'd love to see them race the Russians, who of course qualified only 3 or 4 days ago. James McRae just being congratulated by Cam Girdleston. Sasha Belanogov, yeah, absolutely delighted. And, well, the experience of Carsten Fostling in the bow seat. But the British, you know, they have turned it around with a sub on board, Jack Beaumont, the young lad on the right of the picture. But a great job stroking there from Graham Thomas. But the Swiss too, I mean, they haven't been in the quad all season. They got a sub on board. You see what it means to them, Greg. Just congratulations going between Nico Stalberg, closest to you, and he's just congratulating the substitute Marcus Kessler. They're loving that, you know. They're back in the field. They got one.
Well, it's an interesting mixture of emotions actually down that boat. You think what that feels like for each of them as they sit there, and they must have the mixed emotions of coming in bronze medal position. So we see some lovely shots here of them getting away from the start.
I just don't think they would have thought they'd have won that race. I mean, look at the times they've been in the boat. You know, for them to win a medal on the Rothsay, that's a pretty cool result.
And this event didn't disappoint in terms of providing us with something very exciting. But it was this Australian quad. Just again looking here, such strong guys, and they get the work on early in the stroke, so they seem to get the blade connected, and then they get that work done right through the right angle where the oar is directly at 90 degrees to the boat, and then from that point on they're basically just getting it free, getting it clear and sending the boat away quietly. The British team took it on really bravely, held that technique together pretty well when the pressure came onto them, but they managed to hold on for the silver, and then it was this Swiss crew that got the bronze.
Times are getting relatively slower, 94.12% for the Australians, percentage of world's best time. There you see the 1, 2, 3. I know, you know, it looks sort of effortless. I know you say it's not because they're in extreme pain, but I mean, James McRae there, I mean, as a stroke man, what he did in that sprint and then to finish like that. Well,
they held the nerve, didn't they, the Australian crew, to win that final of the men's quad scull ahead of Great Britain and then ahead of Switzerland.
Actually